Welcome to this channel. This channel is for education and culture based on historical and scientific evidence. So yesterday I was chatting with a Wing Chun friends. And these Wing Chun friends have told me so many things, stories, and so forth, so forth. I just listened. I was listening for half an hour. I didn't say a thing. I just listened. And I didn't say anything because that is how the world now, majority people do. They just running their mind. They thought they know. They thought they understand it. But the reality is they don't. Now facing this kind of situations, that's why I'm still listening. I'm just listening. Because in one way, the poor guy really do not has been educated for what it is. And you know that he cannot do it, disregard of what he say. On the other hand, you want to give empathy for people. So as like my Zen teacher told me, Hendrik, if they don't ask you, don't tell them that they are wrong. Don't correct them. So this is the situations for Wing Chun, Chinese Kung Fu, for Zen, for Qigong. The entire thing right now in the world is like that. People are watching too much movie. People is talking philosophy. People have their interpretations. People have their grandmasters teaching. But they miss something really, really simple. And it's for past 160 years since 1860 in Wing Chun is like that. So you always have the bit and pieces. Nobody see the entire thing. And then from that, everybody have their free imaginations. And at the end, those things will never, ever deliver. For example, if we want to study a language, say it is French, if we do not study with the legit French teacher who spoke French fluently and know French inside out, we don't know French. We can go to a dictionary and pick up these words in French, that words in French, and then we link the entire thing, or we can make our opinion or interpretations on French. But the bottom line is we have no idea what is French. That is the situation with Wing Chun now. Same thing, the situation with Qigong, Neigong, internal. So it's like you taking a term in French, words in French, and then you just do whatever thing it is, and then you can claim that this is the most authentic French and everything. But if you get the real French who spoke French, he couldn't understand what the heck are you talking about. But then in the way you are thinking, oh yeah, I'm the master of French. So it is very simple. If you want to learn French, go study with somebody who is fluent, who know French inside out. Well, what is the point to, to, to take this small term here and there and make all kinds of stuff? But in the real life, you will not be able to speak French. If you put you in French, even though you call yourself a guru of French, you probably couldn't even find a toilet. So that's how serious it is, but that's what happened. So there's a reason why I can point into like the Shaolin Wang Chun people saying that, Wing Chun is from Shaolin Wang Chun. Praise Spring is from Eternal Spring. I can point up to them and say, well, you know what? Get your G-Sim, your best grandmaster here. Time travel for 200 years. I will still tell that guy, the monk G-Sim or anything, stop bullshit. Okay? It's because of you don't know French. And you just make believe that you know French and then make all this claim. So, same with learning French. We know Wing Chun 1850 really solid today based on historical evidence, and we can verify it with scientific. Now, this history is not your grandfather's history, my grandfather's history, my lineage history. No. It is Chinese history in writing. We can track who and who there. It's not that, oh yeah, I'm from this village. My teacher is this. Or there's other guys say, well, Hendrik is not the true the Chou family Wing Chun. Not just bullshit. It's like learning French. You ought to be able to speak French and know French inside out if you say that you have learned French. We are not even talking about the grandmasters of French or the poet of the French. We just have to be able to speak French in daily. So, for past 10 years, the first thing I introduced is 6 core elements. But you look at how many people today using that 6 core element to sell their own garbage. And there's one guy who come to United States to learn from me the 6 core element. Go back, wrote a book, and his student in the Hong Kong forum saying that I was using his teacher, this European guy's body, mind, energy to make up my 6 core element. Well, I told that person, student in Hong Kong, in the forum, that go ask your teacher, show you how to breathe. The bottom line is, I wrote that 6 core element because I was trained that way. My body be able to do that. That's why many people who learn 6 core element from me be able to handle that, disregard of which martial art they learn. Because about human, because it's like spoken French. You learn from some people who know French. You don't just learn one or two words and then you write a book and then you make it like you are the guy who know French, where the French do not know French. Same thing too, like those who study the 1850 Xiu Lim Tao with me a little bit and then say, well, this is not from Mei's Zhuang. Same thing. So the sixth element about 10 years ago. And then I introduced what? Recycling momentum. Again, you see, nobody knows about recycling momentum. Those who know internal art, who know internal art, those who claim that they are the descendant of King of Wing Chun. You check for past 200 years, zero know about recycling momentum. And yet recycling momentum is a must 460 years ago in General Qi Guang's army to fight the Japanese pirate or Japanese warrior within that Japanese pirate. So they are Japanese warrior within the Japanese pirate. And General Qi Guang knows fighting is about chaotic situation, chaotic exchange of attack. That's why General Qi Guang said to map that thing, the chaotic handling of the mutual fighting into a momentum transfer to another momentum. Now, with one momentum transfer to another momentum, you need to recycle the momentum. It's like you race a car, you're racing a car, and when there's a corner, you have to cornering. And you have to cornering, you cannot stop your car like that and then change your directions and speed up. No, you make use of momentum to do the cornering. That's just real life. Now, without have the teaching of the recycling momentum, it is nonsense. The Shaolin Short Strike Classic have that recycling momentum training, which is the Wing Chun 1850 inherit. So there's recycling momentum. And then I introduced that in the training of internal, you have the natural pace training where your body, your breathing, your mind is setting into so that it be able to run back to the natural. The definition of natural is biological rhythm. Nature in Chinese, in today's language, means human biological rhythm. That is the training within the Xiu Lian Tao 1850. Now, so you have this natural pace training, and then there's another training is called deliberate individual execution or training. That is like, I want to train my breathing separately. I don't know about the mind, the breathing, and the body, natural rhythm, like natural pace, that it let it do its job. I just deliberately say I want to inhale, I want to exhale, those kind of things. So there are two types of training. Now, if you don't know these two training, forget about internal. You couldn't even read what is within the 1850 Xiu Lim Tao writing. You don't even know how to read the 峨眉十二庄's writing. Seriously, look into today's so-called Tai Chi people, internal people. How many of them know that there's a natural pace training, and then that is a individual, deliberate, separate training, like I just explained to you. In any real internal training, you always have to go to build the foundation with natural pace training, because you need to know your own human biological rhythm. If you don't know that, you just go breathe the way you like, that is an individual deliberate activations. It can against the natural pace or the human biological rhythm. Then you got really nowhere. So people who talk about qi, energy, if you do not have the train of the natural pace training, which is following the human biological rhythm, and you go straight with that, I have my yi, I control my qi, those things, you know you are in deep sauce. Why? Because you are only doing dissipative stuff. That means you have no idea on the entire platform or landscape. That means it's like you try to speak French without knowing the language, the nature of the language. Like in English, you try to speak English without knowing the grammar. That's how ridiculous it is. Look at people who train Tai Chi, internal, Qigong, and everything. It's doing that. Now, again, I introduce the performance breathing and the recovery or regulatory breathing, where regulatory breathing is following the human biological rhythm, where you always have a action, release, and completion. In breathing, it is the inhale, exhale, and there's a pause there. Not inhale and not exhale. That is the completions, where the exhale is releasing and inhale is acting or act. Now, then you have the performance breathing, where you don't have those completions. Performance breathings do not have completions. An extreme for the performance breathing is like in the anaerobic sprinting, anaerobic endurance training, or in sparring. You have inhale, exhale, but you do not have that completion because it is a performance-based breathing. It is not for recovery or fit to the natural rhythm of human biology. So from the sixth element, recycling momentum, the natural pace training, and the performance breathing, and the with the recovery breathing, all those things is not a concept. It's something I can do with my body, and anybody, any human can do that too. It is as simple as learning French. Now, if you never learned French, how the hell you know all this? If you have never experienced this, how you talk about this? That's why if you go check on past 160 years in any teaching of any Wing Chun lineage or any Wing Chun document for past 160 years, and today's all this grandmaster, everybody, they don't know all these things I pointed you, the 6 core element, the recycling momentum, the natural pace breathing, the performance and regulatory or performance, and the recovery breathing. If you don't know this, it's like you don't even know the very basic of French. How is that thing going to work? It doesn't work. Because in educations. Now, that's why any of my books, there will be one procedure for develop a skill. For example, in the restricting Wing Chun, that is a full instructions on developing or experiencing that recycling momentum. In the Wing Chun Inceptions, that is the N1 process to bring you down into the natural pace. In the Wing Chun Nei Gong code, that is about the natural pace and the individual training, and also that is instructions to get into the regulatory or recovering breathing. So if you get my books, you will not know anything at all if you just keeping reading it. But if you follow the instructions and experience the practice, one of the practice inside there, for example, the recycling momentum, you follow the instructions, you practice it, and you experience it. Then you read the book and you say, no, I know what he's talking about now. But until you develop that recycling momentum, you will have no clue on what is written in the recycling, the restricting Wing Chun books. The same thing with this Wing Chun Nei Gong code. If you do not develop the breathing, the really fundamental of the subtle breathing, light, subtle, natural breathing there, which is the recovering breathing, you will have no clue on what I wrote in that book. Again, what I wrote down there is to just transfer the knowledge from the ancient Chinese teaching. It's not mine. So it's very similar to if you don't go to a French-speaking place to experience what is the French speaking, you will have no idea what it is. You can read books and books. You can get this term, these words of French, and then try to think or philosophical everything. You end up you don't know anything. So this is the problem today. In Wing Chun, in Chinese Kung Fu, in Qigong, in internal, in Zen, it is like this. Everybody talk language, words that they really don't know what it is, because they never experienced the fundamental. So this is very important thing to know if you want to learn something. And this is not something which is magical or really advanced. It's like learning French. So I share this with you because if you get into those, you thinking you have learning French, you are the guru of French, and you know this words of French, that words of French, and you think that is French, who can correct you? Nobody can correct you. But it's guaranteed when you go to French, now you get trouble because you don't know French. So if you want to live a life which is meaningful, why wasting your time to doing this thing? And like yesterday's the friend, I didn't say anything. I just yeah. One thing is there's no point to argue with him, right? The second thing is, if he never realized that, he is in trouble. He will never learn, and he will wasting his life. So I make this YouTube today to share with you that don't think about things as advanced or mysterious or whatever. It is just like French. If we know, we really experience it, then we speak French. But if we don't know, we just say we don't know French. That's simple. If you cannot do that, forget about it. That's why I just tell you just now, from the 6 core element, recycling momentum, the natural pace training, the recovery breathing and performance breathing, those everything is in details and in practice written in my books. The Wing Chun Inception, Restricting Wing Chun, Decoding Wing Chun, Nei Gong Code. Thing is there. It got nothing to do with me, my lineage. No, it is all plain technical. But you need to be able to experience it. You need to put time on to experience it. It's not like this 6 core element guy and telling his student that Hendrik Santo, is just still his idea on the body, mind, energy. What body, mind, energy? You don't even know how to breathe. You couldn't even know differentiate between the performance breathing and the recovering breathing. Same thing with the guy who said, well, there's no Mei Si Zhuang, I believe. Believe what? He couldn't even know. He couldn't even show that what type of breathing he has when he do certain thing. Like the other day I explained, when you do the Wing Chun 1850 Xiu Lim Tao, you know the tempo and you know when is it the performance breathing, when is this you doing the recovery breathing. Now if you practice your Xiu Lim Tao Cham Kiu Biu Ji or whatever, your this 20 hand, 22 hand, 42 hand, whatever heck, if you don't know about that, it means that you have no idea of the entire breathing component. And the breathing component is actually has to follow your human biological rhythm. That means you cannot handle your body and your mind. Very simple. If you're keeping to doing performance breathing, how the hell are you going to calm yourself down? But if you do the recurring breathing, when you get to the post exhale pausing, the not breathing, not inhaling, at that state, things come down. The physical and so forth come down. The Buddhists and the Taoists know about that, and that is the key of the Buddhist and Taoist meditations. Okay? So we need to be educated. If we don't even have this basic experience on the basic educations, all talk is just something empty talk.